Robin Miller.
Um, this started in early March. I started this for this exhibit, 12 by 12. And at that point, my eldest kid said, "What are you doing to celebrate my mother's, would have been 100 years old on March 7th? And when I was asked that, what am I going to do? And then I realized I had to make this piece in homage and in honor of my mother's 100th birthday.
Wow.
My mother adored birds of paradise. So I knew I had to put birds of paradise. And of course it is called Evie's Birds of Paradise. And so anyway, so I started, people know that I make molds of my vintage tchotchkes. And but most of them are small, and I knew that the small one did not work on this 12-inch size format. So what I had to do is make a larger figure. I went home that night and I looked through all the photos of my mother, found one that was perfect, and enlarged it, and then made this central figure. And the rest I'm leaving out a little part of it. There was a bad accident with some breakage, and the glazing wasn't right. And when I tried to make a mold of this finished piece, the material stuck to it. And so it was kind of a disaster, and this is in the beginning of the quarantine. I put it aside, I wouldn't look at it, and finally I peeled off all the foam, refired it, and it came out. And then as I went back to my studio, worked on it, and this is a piece that I'm very, very proud of, and exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, it's Robin. Well, I'm wearing one of your pieces right now. I don't know if anyone's seeing that, a little cicada. But your work is just amazing, and I'm happy
thank
to
you.
wear a couple little pieces, but it's just, this piece is just wonder. I love it. It's amazing. And what a beautiful sentiment towards your mom's 100th birthday.
Oh, and I have to add one more thing. A few people know about this. When I received that wonderful award about being Volunteer of the Year, flowers were sent to my house. And when they arrived, I was a basket case, and I had tears because there were birds of paradise, 3 birds of paradise. And I called Veronica, and she said, we specified colorful because she's an artist, but turned out that it was birds. So my mother was speaking and there. So.
Cool. And congratulations, you're Volunteer of the Year. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
All right, then. And now I'm going, I have to leave the meeting, but I was in the car waiting before I saw it, and it was great. So,
okay. All right.
My family is here. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay, and I'm pretty sure this is Lisa Myers and not Lias Myers. Is Lisa here? Okay, Lisa, so it looks like another landscaping piece, but it looks to me like she's done mixed media. I believe that some of this is ceramic, like the trees appear to be ceramic, but then there's stained glass, possibly slate. So another beautiful landscape mixed media piece by Lisa Myers, The Mountains Are Calling. Really fun piece. And again, those beautiful earth tones. Is Nick here?
Okay, there's no sound there. So it sounds like we have a problem.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just say a few things, and then Gwen, if you can get your mic up, that would be great. So Nick, looks like Nick is doing some work. Not sure if this is a found object or possibly something he sculpted in ceramic, maybe. Or it looks like it could be either metal or ceramic. And so these objects, this is a treetop turret. And so the turret is on a leafy group that also looks like it could be probably ceramic, maybe metal. And then on this lovely abstracted background using glass tile and some, I think that's the more opaque vitreous glass, some beads possibly. Not sure if this is like a hand-colored tile or possibly like a, like how Carol Rydell does like paper with clear glass on top of it or something like that, like to get that sense of depth. But really lovely repetitive patterns. Love the, you know, the fact that the opacity changes. Like that's really cool how this is all very transparent here. And then how there's an opacity going on around the rest. Really nice, beautiful, Nick.
Okay, Gwen just messaged and said that Nick made the ceramic leaves and tile in this piece.
Okay, cool. So the leaves and then this as well, the turret, or maybe not. Okay.
She texted that that was a bottle stopper.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So it's found object. That's cool. So there's lots of different, thanks, Lucinda. So there's lots of different things kind of going on simultaneously around here. Really lovely. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Gwen and Nick. Rebecca, I'm trying to think that I think Rebecca just finished up a pretty large exterior installation. I saw some pictures on, I don't know, Facebook or something. And I think she did like a whole wall piece, if I'm not mistaken. Because the name is unusual enough that I thought, oh, I think that's Rebecca, because I'm pretty sure she lives like on the like the mainline area. But this looks to be a dimensional apple. So maybe that's another piece of Weddy or something like that with stained glass on it. Again, a lot of mixed media. Appears that there's a bunch of beads, some crockery here, those glass, I call them blobs, but they're probably called gems or something like that, like the three-dimensional glass pieces. And then a really beautiful kind of a shadow study on the apple. But a really fun way of highlighting your subject here. And that's been some, we've seen a lot of that here. It's really pretty interesting way of approach. Sharon Ritz, I know she's here. She's here. She's muted.
I'm here.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm good, I think. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to see everybody. So this piece was the first piece that I made in a new space that I have for studio. And it took me a really long time to get into that space and sit my butt down and actually make anything. And so it was good to have this exhibit as a goal. And this was all like at the very beginning of the coronavirus thing, and everything was so scary. And I decided I wanted to do something that was bright and light and would make me happy and I could play, and I just wasn't going to be serious about it. And so I actually had a floating frame that I have a lot of those, and I took one of them and I reinforced it. And I started to pull out, I love textured clear glass. And so all the backgrounds are all different kinds of textured clear glass. And the green is also textured. There's some even that are from an antique door, the glass in an antique door. And so I just wanted to play around and put all kinds of textures next to each other. And I had these tiles, the red ovals are actually tiles, as are the red circles underneath. And then I was cutting glass for the leaves and cutting glass for those little, like cutting tiles actually for those little white parts on top, and rhinestones and beads. And then I had the jewelry with the bugs, and I just was playing like crazy just for fun. And I really did. And then there's the ball chain to just add some extra dimension to it. And so it's not grouted, of course. And then I was thinking, I did this on the clear, floating frame. And then, to be honest, to take a picture of it for this was a nightmare. So I kind of thought I'll put a piece of paper behind it. And then I went, oh, I kind of like that. So it gives me an option. Like if I'm, if this stays with me, I think I will take the paper out and put it in front of a window so that it really will be radiant. And I should say, I don't make a lot. I'm very motivated by my emotions and by experiences. And so I'm kind of not like, they kind of come to me and then I make something. I don't churn things out that much. But for me, because of that, the name of the pieces are also super important to me. I ponder a lot. And because I was doing a garden, I did some research trying to find just the right name. And I found this beautiful poem by a Mexican artist, and I pulled it up so I can remember. Her name is Coral Braco. I think that's how she pronounced her name. It was translated into English by someone whose name is Catherine Pierpoint. And in this poem, it's called This Space, This Garden. It was just a beautiful, beautiful poem. And one of the lines was this radiant happiness. It was a whole sentence. It basically, where is it? Yeah, this radiant happiness, this laughter underlying and its brokenness. It just struck me as like the perfect thing for my happy piece that I needed at a time when I felt like everything was really frightening. And so there you have it. That's it. Not a whole lot going on in it. That's
No,
me.
it's beautiful. And I really appreciate artists who put so much thought into their work, and because I know it's so easy with what we all do to get so seduced by materials, and it's easy just to kind of let that dictate what's going on instead of like really considering content and like that you're putting something out in the world. So bravo. And just by the way, Sharon has an amazing studio. I
lucked out. I did luck out.
You've made it. It's beautiful.
Well, when everybody is able to come visit, that's all, when it's safe. So happy to have company.
Thanks, Sharon. Is Helene here? So Helene, she's from like I think she lives like in Wynwood or someplace up there, like in the mainline area. And most of the work that I've seen from her, and she has 2 pieces in this show, I think they're next to each other, are look to be material and color studies. And she tends to veer more towards abstraction. So core strength, maybe she's talking about a Pilates exercise, I don't know. But it's, just this beautiful strata of materials. And she's really very sensitive in the way she's working with her materials. So it's really, her work has that kind of quiet power to it. That's really quite lovely. This is a piece that I think I saw this piece of hers at a show at Mainline Arts, like maybe within the last year. And it's incredible. It's all like those teeny tiny little glass beads. So bless anybody's heart who works with those things, because it's just gorgeous. And, they're obviously very strong material, but like has that visual component of being really fragile simultaneously. So Helene just does a knock-up job as far as I'm concerned on her work. So we miss you, Helene. See you next time. Sally, I thought was here. Is Sally here tonight? So Sally Rosenwasser, this is, I think she has 2 pieces in here, and this one, it kind of reminds me of actually Yulia, I know, did a bunch of these pieces and continues to do, of the layered kind of storm mosaics, and it has that kind of sensation to it. So again, a very central image that spirals out. We've seen that in a couple of different pieces. Her use of color is really beautiful. The photograph's not so sharp, so it's a little hard to see the individual pieces, but I think you get the general kind of concept of where Sally was going with this piece. And this is her second piece, more politically oriented. And Marcy Rosner.
Yes.
Here you
Okay.
go.
So I actually made this butterfly in Veronica's class, I think last spring, and it's that 3-dimensional, not the exact materials that she used, but with the foam and the glass. And I was a glutton for punishment. I'm not doing these anymore because I think the class before, I always worked with China, and more abstract and not realistic and not so tiny. And I think I had a burden last year that I did the class before, but I like the dimension. So I said to her, can I do another one? And I'm like halfway through it. It probably took me the 8 weeks. I'm halfway through it. And I thought, I don't like to do this. I hate the glue, but anyway, it taught me patience.
Right.
I used to do projects much faster. And what Veronica has taught me is, it takes a while, which is okay. I liked how it came out, but the whole process, I can't say is my favorite. Because the background, I thought I was finished. And it's like, wow. But the other thing is because I hadn't used glass so much before, I do love the glass. I mean,
yeah, it's beautiful.
It's just different. It's really, pretty. So.
But I know that you've used a lot of like the broken china, which generally tends to be bigger pieces.
Yeah.
So this is going to seem painfully small.
Is that, using that tweezers,
Yeah, I'm there with you. It's it's definitely, if anything, like all of us should.
And actually, there's just one, that centerpiece is, the very center, that's China.
That right in here.
Yeah, that's China.
Okay, cool.
There is China in it. There's that same China is
here.
The blue. Yeah, that's all China.
Okay, cool.
I think some of that pink is China also. I did mix it.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it's a really fun piece. But yeah, no, I think that if anything, like we learn patience and the breadth of what we've seen here tonight is testament to our the skill level that we've got in this group is absolutely freaking amazing. Congratulations. Thanks, Mars. Carol Rydell. I'm happy to blab on about her things a little bit. Carol, former president of our lovely group here, former teacher. She just is such a powerhouse in terms of just doing a lot of different kinds of things and with a lot of different materials. And I know she sets up for herself like I don't know, I want to say assignments, but like goals. So I think she's still working through her leaf. She's doing these 6-inch leaf, like one per week at least, mosaics where she just tries different materials and different approaches. A lot of her stuff is informed by printmaking and the idea of layering. And you can see the notion of layering in this piece in particular. So the spiral, we've seen many different spirals and a lot of us use them because they really do represent kind of a universal energy. And she's just got a beautiful color palette here. The use of the gold in the center is particularly effective, as is this little, she's got a little Buddha head here. So Carol, when you walk into Carol's studio, you've got she's been crazy with all kinds of fun little doodahs that she incorporates into her work. But a really, really lovely piece that she did from there. And this is also hers. We saw a lizard from Louise Banks earlier, and it's really fun to see a different kind of version where you've got like the large stained glass pieces. I guess that's chain on there as well. And strings of beads and just some really beautiful light dimensional things going on within Carol Rydell's lizard piece here. Really fun. Does anyone want to talk about, I don't know James as well as like the board members know. Does anyone want to talk about James's work?
James is one of those people who uses a lot of varied materials and extremely prolific. He's always trying new techniques, always trying different arrangements. So this looks like he was working with his tiles. The precision cuts of the star in the center really contrast with a lot of the more like, it looks like there's cast glass and ceramic in there.
Definitely.
And then he's used a very neutral gray background in order to tie everything together there.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. All right, I think there's another one of his.
I think also, if I can add, because James lives around the corner from me.
Okay. Cool.
And I think he also, it seems to me that James also likes to, he collects like leftover tiles, leftover materials a lot, and he manages to create his pieces, and he does like, a lot of mural type of things that are using the found materials that he is either given or, he finds somehow. People bring him things, and it's really kind of neat because it makes a very interesting, colorful assortment in the finished product. So just wanted to add that little bit.
Yeah, cool. And he's done, I've seen pictures of a structure, I think on his, it seems like kind of a carriage house like you have, Sharon, like in his home that he's
A shed, I think, in the backyard. Yeah, it's like a little shed. It's cute. It's like
Yeah, he's totally mosaic. So that's always something. Having done that myself to my house, it's like lots of work, lots of work and fun. Susan Starr.
This was made the very beginning of COVID, but it was actually when the outrage was the children being separated from their parents.
Wow.
And all the pieces are porcelain, handmade, and it's melted glass in some of them. And the fence is woven porcelain. And it was people waiting at the border and trying to get in, basically.
Yeah. I love how you've used the cup, like you think of like the cup is like a vessel for like holding a baby, you know, like it has definitely has a mate, you know, sort of a mother image to it, right? Or a parental kind of love.
And then there's some people who are in, there's some people who are not in. But it was really inspired by the news of January and February before COVID really knocked at the door.
Yeah.
And we don't even know where those children are right now.
Yeah, because we're all obsessed with.
Right.
And you have another, I'm going to flip, I think your piece is, your other piece, oh, that's mine. I know you have another piece in here. I don't know why it's not right after yours.
Okay.
We'll come back to you, Susan.
Okay.
Now, did you hand make the substrate as well?
Yes.
You did. Okay. With like fiberglass mesh and
Yes.
and through that? Okay, cool.
Yes. And I mounted it on a 10 by 10 wooden frame from Artists and Craftsmen.
Nice. Yeah. I love how that kind of, so the place that your families and whatever, well, the whole thing is on is just it just gives it a whole different level. I think it was really beautiful and really appropriate.
Thank you.
And you have another, we'll come back to you. Stay, keep your mic on. I'll be fast. So this is one of mine. It's inspired by, I love 1940s textiles and was playing around with just some shapes from that. Like what Susan was just talking about, often I use abstraction as a way of describing something. In this case, it's a family dynamic thing. But it's, you know, playing around with ondimento, playing around with different materials, trying to get a composition that has you know, beauty and activity in it within, you know, the backstory, which isn't really so pretty. So we'll just move on from that one. And this one I've blabbed on about for about 20 minutes on my Mosaic Monday hosting. It's I've been working a lot with cast glass, and this is called Pink Moon Crow. And it was made during this whole COVID thing. I started it probably in March, knowing that the pink moon was happening in April. But it's a piece that I've done a lot of pieces with animals, and specifically crows, and how they spiritually connect with and communicate with humans. So that's mine. Carol's, Carol, look what they did to you.
Good Lord. It's all good. So I actually made this piece because I was taking a printmaking class and I loved it. And so I started printmaking on clay and then cutting the pieces of the clay out and then grouting them and firing them. And so all the pieces are, well, actually there's some press molded pieces in there too, but most of them are silk screened and cut out. Yeah. And then, so it's a combination of silk screened and then glazed and refired pieces and press molded pieces on a smalty background. But it turned into, and I don't have the rest of the pieces here because they're actually in the show with Yulia at the Andamento Gallery, but it turned into a piece on perception. So this is the piece that I was working on pre-COVID. Okay. And I actually finished it as COVID was happening. And then the other three pieces that are in that gallery are other perceptions on the same subject matter. Cool. And in the next three, there's no color in the flowers.
Okay, great. So we have to go down to Baltimore. Field trip.
Yeah, you
Uh,
could, but you could, but if you want, you could also probably just Google it, or I could send you pictures.
Cool.
I think
Or I'll-
we're gonna be making a digital presentation of the work available. So
great.
yeah.
Oh, please let us know. That would be great. I would love to see that. Judy Stiles.
Oh, okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have this love affair with the South. And so one of the flowers of the South that I like is a magnolia. And so I decided, as a matter of fact, it really didn't take me that long to create this piece. It took me maybe about a month. Usually it takes me a whole semester, but because I thought it was going to be a person-to-person exhibit, I didn't have a whole lot of time. So that was the motivation for me to get this done as quickly as I could. I like the contrasting colors. I love yellow and gold. I love working with those colors. And I love magnolias.
Yeah. Judy, did you use are like these petals beads or
Those are so I worked with seed beads, glass, and just regular jewelry beads, very small jewelry beads.
Oh yeah,
And then the gold, and then there's the stem is actually made from wood.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know how I made that happen, but
I love your colors. It's just a really beautiful like portrait of a magnolia. And have you ever been down south? Did you ever live down there?
Oh yes, as a matter of fact, I was supposed to go south this summer before COVID hit. So I've been to Savannah.
Nice.
I've been to Atlanta, Georgia. All over in the South. I love the South. I used to spend my summers down there when I was younger. And my mother was from the South.
Wow.
And so every summer we would spend like maybe 2 to 3 weeks down there. I love the beauty of the place.
Yeah, no, it is. It's gorgeous. And like Savannah, there's like a heaviness in the air that's just like lovely there.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Judy. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, Carol Tinkelman or Tinkerman. I'm pretty sure that's not your last name, but that's what we've got.
So it would be much better if Carol Tinkelman could be here, and I'm hoping that she'll make it through. She does say that she is on chat, that she is she's on her phone. Maybe can chat this description. So I have to tell you, I'll start talking, and while she chats, I'll read it to you. So I actually really loved this piece. This is the Empress Theodora from a historical mosaic in Ravenna. And Theodora was one of these amazing women in history that we don't know that much about, but she was actually, she went from being either a dancer or a prostitute, depending on who wrote the history, to being the empress of the entire Byzantine world.
Wow.
And I know, an important woman, and very important politically and historically and in our history. And I think Carol made a really beautiful reconstruction of this mosaic from Ravenna. I think it's a beautiful piece. I mean, she worked really hard at it. And I think she really gave us a feeling of this kind of, very powerful person.
Oh, definitely.
The other thing I think is really cool about it is, like I always say this about this mosaic, you can kind of imagine this person walking with all that huge headdress on and all those pearls and diamonds, just kind of almost like, I'm trying to think of like a Bob Mackie costume, but this was the...
Like gliding, just kind of gliding down. Yeah, for sure. No, I love her expression, and I love that. Again, like the material saturation is like, wow, you just love that gold, but it's beautifully done, and cool.
Yeah, fabulous. So I wish Carol could have actually said what she had to say, but she did a beautiful, beautiful job on this historical recreation. I think it's beautiful. It's fabulous.
And we've got another piece from Carol called Shapes. And they did get her name correct on this one, which is nice. But you can see she did, and I think she's done this in a couple of different ways, like a folded substrate. So like Susan Starr was talking about doing a substrate that was like using fiberglass and thin set mixture, and you can form that over something like a thing that you can later pull out. And in this case, Carol did like a folded piece, and then mosaicked on top using a geometric pattern. Looks like there's four different pieces that are created into one. But again, really, really fun color. She loves that gold. She must be rich if she's using that gold. I don't know, man. Carol Tinkelman, where are you? You in your mansion? It's really pretty beautiful piece.
She just sent a chat saying that she's very rich.
Anyway, very cool. Thank you, Carol. Lucinda. Hi, Lucinda.
I had to unmute. So this was not originally supposed to be a 12 by 12, but then when the stipulation came that it had to be 12 by 12, I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I got to make it bigger. So Veronica suggested shells, and I found them at Michael's, the crushed shells, and I was happy to find them. I had a bit of trouble with the imprint in the clay wasn't deep enough to, and when I grouted, I used the grout as to fill in the pattern on purpose. And the mermaid, and some of it wasn't deep enough to, and so we were losing the mermaid. And I got some acrylic paint pens, and first of all, I thought it was already wrecked. So I'm like, I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to play. And that's when the mermaid came to life, when I decided to play with those paint pens and paint her and add in, so if it wasn't for the paint pens, the whole piece would have just been awful. But I salvaged it into something that's okay. It's not my favorite piece I've ever created, but it's okay.
you definitely took something and made something more of it. And I think that, sometimes I think we all do that. Like if something doesn't show up correctly, it's like, yeah, get out the magic markers. Like, let's just make it like work. But, I think that, again, that shows to me that your central idea, it isn't dictated by, whether the clay was impressed enough or whether the glaze seeped into your lines or whatever it is. So, touche, I think it's,
Can I jump in for a second?
Go ahead.
Okay. Lucinda has a background in ceramics. And this was in a class that I taught on creating your own mosaic tiles. So each of the individual sections in here is an individual tile. And then she pressed designs into the fish mermaid tiles. And then hand painted all of them so that there would be a cohesiveness among them. The colors in person are actually better defined than shows in the photo. For some reason, they look a little muddier here. But like you said, with the impressed lines, when she started trying to grout them, she lost her detail in the mermaid. Then the paint pen was able to bring those lines out so that you could really see them much more clearly.
Thank you.
Yeah, again, like with any kind of art, especially when you're dealing with ceramics, firing, glass, casting, whatever, your intention, like what you think it's going to do and what it does, can often be miles apart. And it's just, and then that spurs a whole nother creative aspect. And, again, the like lemonade from lemons kind of thing. It's, if someone's expecting the piece, if it's part of a commission and you have to change it around, or if it's just your expectations, it's art, and it's a fluid thing. It's not like necessarily something that you have to do one kind of way. So anyway, hopefully next time you do something, you'll be able to say, oh, I know I can make that line really bold if it's like acrylic paint or acrylic pen or whatever it is. Do it, you know, who cares? You know, whatever. It's not cheating. It's not cheating.
Thank you.
That's what you're thinking. Thanks so much, Lucinda. Sarah, Susan Starr, here's your second piece. And again, who knows why they're so out of order.
This is borders, and this is people waiting to get into the country was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And there's more on it because I wanted it to look more like more official, you know, like going through the process of getting into the country and going through passport stamps and, you know, following regulations and making it more structured than the other one.
Yeah,
they're also all handmade pieces. You can't see really, but there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces that are tiny little pots that have been blown up with sticks with firecrackers.
Oh, wow.
And then refired, and then glass is put into them, and they're glazed that way.
Cool. That's wonderful. So did these look like these pieces?
No,
Okay.
they're little tiny, I just take pieces of clay and I carve them or I texture them.
Uh-huh.
And then when they're not dry, they're like just damp, I put the firecracker in them, put them in a trash can, light the firecracker, and however they explode, they explode.
So are you responsible for all these fireworks in Philadelphia?
No.
Ellie? Well then, you just like, seriously, man? It's a big problem in Philly. If you live down here, you know what I'm talking about. It's been driving me crazy.
Yeah. No, and it's like I'm fascinated. Well, I think this is like my childhood coming back, but I'm fascinated with the firecrackers that if it doesn't blow up enough, I'll put another firecracker in to see if I can get it more blown apart. And it's part of it also is not only are they blown apart, but it's also, if you look at it now and all that we've gone through, it's almost people's souls are blown apart.
Yeah, yeah.
And what has our country come to, that this is what's happening, that we're blowing families apart, we're blowing ourselves apart.
No, you're
And I
right.
usually don't work in grays, but I sort of wanted to make it like not a lot of color and just sort of muted out, almost like, and this is pre-COVID, but it was, to me, like, winter's very gray anyway, but it just felt like our world of the United States has become very gray.
Susan, thanks so much for sharing your work. It's really, I really wish they showed them, that we could see them side by side.
Yes.
I think the difference of the two pieces really do tell a lot.
Yes.
And it's really very meaningful. Thanks so much for talking. I really appreciate it. We're back to Robin. So guess what, guys? We're done. But you know, I know we've run an hour late, and I'm not surprised. But
They were all beautiful.
Seriously, what a beautiful show. And thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for taking the time to share, because that's really what Mosaic Society is all about. And you know, if anything, like, spread the love, and it's just really wonderful to be friends with all of you guys.